Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. I'm sorry this week's is a little bit late. This summer has been getting a little bit crazy, but also we were away for a funeral. So it's a valid excuse in my world. But otherwise, I'm going to try to keep these podcasts super consistent and every 2 weeks for you guys. So enjoy this journey. Okay, today I am going to be talking about, a little bit nervously talking about sensitivity and empathy. This is something that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. It's something I'm still sinking into. It's something that I'm still working on within myself. But this podcast is for my highly sensitive friends, for my very highly sensitive people out there. Every time, so like at the beginning of my journey, I like kept getting curious, like, who am I, right? That's a weird question to ask, but it's not really when you're on this journey. It's actually the first question that they gave my class in my yoga teacher training. She gave us this question at the very beginning of the class, kind of in the first set of, we went for like the weekend. So the first weekend of classes, she gave us this question: who am I? And by the end of the yoga teacher training, she wanted us all to have an answer to that. So it's really not that crazy of a question, but it's kind of like, who am I? What do I want to do? What do I want to be? What are my likes? What are my interests? How do I go down a path that is authentic to me and not just what, society asks of me, what my family asks of me, what my friends want, like, who am I and what is it that I want out of life, right? How can I live my best life? And the point I'm making with this is I found a lot of personality reports, right? Like the hand analysis, super love it. Loved it so much. I took the training and now I offer that, the hand analysis reports. Astrology, right? What does my astrology say about me? There were like a few other ones and I'm just not remembering their names, but just like those career based or personality based reports. It's kind of like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Well, who are you and what you answer a lot of questions like that. And then, like the introvert and the extrovert. I went down a lot of these paths, a lot of them, and still more. They still interest me. So the interesting part about going down all of these paths is that every single one of them came up in my reports as, you are highly sensitive. You are on the emotional spectrum. I believe it would be like more right brain than left brain kind of thing. My introvert and extrovert is kind of right centered, like it's kind of in the middle. I can be extroverted in an introverted situation, a space. And then I can be kind of introverted in an extroverted, like in a super huge group dynamic, I can get super introverted. But if I'm, in a space, even with a group of people, I can get super extroverted. So that's kind of half and half. But the sensitivity piece is just like, girl, on one of them, I believe it's the Myers-Briggs test. They actually they break it down. And in the end of everything, they're just like, you are only at that point when they were creating their test and whatnot, I believe it would be different now. I think I've said this. It was only 20% of people on Earth from their research, right, were more sensitive than the other 80. And I was even more than the 20%. I was in the top 2% of the 20% of the 100%, right? You are part of the top 2% of the most highly sensitive people on this earth from their research and from their test. So, but even then, I'm just kind of like, psh, like not a big deal, whatever. Yeah, like I know it, but it's not a big deal. Like that's not who I am. It doesn't define me, right? And then like the astrology, super sensitive. Like you are super sensitive. You are highly sensitive. You have, you're a Cancer, which is one of the most highly sensitive. It's a water sign. And then you have, like all of the other ones, the way like my moons and my stars and my planets align, it's just like, yes, your sensitivity is all over the map, meaning like it's in all the places. It's one of those reoccurring. You need to acknowledge your sensitivity. And the same with each and every test. I believe, I'm not skilled in this, but under my like Chinese astrology, I'm like a pig, like born on the year of the pig or something. And, which is like the most highly sensitive animal, plus like all the, like there was like 2 or 3 things. It was just like water or like sensitive, like emotional, stacked on top of emotional, stacked on top of emotional, stacked on top of emotional. And I'm just like, how can how do I not be so sensitive and emotional? So my sensitivity and empathy, I started to understand that. And I started to understand that it was a gift. I mean, there were spaces and places where, like it was a little detrimental or a little hard, to handle or whatever. But I never got upset at myself for being emotional. I was just this emotional person. I wore my emotions on my sleeve and it was all good. I was genuinely happy when I was happy. I was genuinely sad when I was sad. I was genuinely angry when I was angry. And I just honored my emotions and it was all good. Where it started to be a problem is, I shouldn't even say a problem, but where I really started to get caught up in it is when I started doing this work. And if you've been following this podcast, you've heard, along my journey. If you haven't been following the podcast, pop back to a couple of the other ones where I give a lot of more information on, my journey and my healing. So when I started doing my own healing and I started being like neutral to some situations and happy in some situations in which would have triggered me before, right? Would have upset me before, and I wasn't anymore. And I started diving into my emotions. I went through my entire life. I went through all of the situations that came up, all of the relationships, all of the friendships, all of family stuff. I'm still going through family stuff. I went through all this stuff and I just dug in and did the work. But then after a while, it was like the healing stopped working. And it didn't stop working because I wasn't doing it correctly. And it didn't stop working because it didn't work. It absolutely works. But the problem started being, I can't heal someone else's stuff that I feel within me. Let me explain. If I feel my mom, is having a bad day, I shouldn't say that in the way of, the problem was I didn't understand. So my thing was I didn't understand which emotions were mine what I was feeling, what I was picking up, what I was feeling, and what wasn't mine. I didn't understand what was mine and what wasn't mine. I was crying tears for other people. I was laughing for other people in their joy. That's awesome, right? I was feeling other people's pain in my body. And I can't say, like, I didn't pick up their belief systems. It's not like that. But if there was something that was going on in their life that they were moving through, it started showing up in my life. And it was weird. And I'm just like, okay, I've been on this journey long enough to know that something's coming up. Here we go. Let's move through it. And I started moving through it. And it wasn't shifting. It wasn't until some huge aha moment. It wasn't until it was actually the biggest thing, let me go to it, the horses. When I started working with the horses, not even just with my horses or anything like that, when I started getting into the work with the horses, they were trying to show me, they were trying to teach me. People walk into our pen, we can feel their stuff. We help them, we mirror their stuff. We help them work through their stuff. We show them, we start responding to the energy. They show up in our space and we start responding to the energy. And it took me a long time to digest and understand and work through and feel within myself and I want to say, like, understand again, but like understand what was mine and then what I was just responding to. Who was showing up in my life and what energy were they bringing to my space? What energy are we bringing to the horse's space when we go out there? And what energy was everyone bringing to my space? How was I reacting? How was I responding? How was my body feeling? How were my emotions? How energetically, like my mental, once I started digging into this, I even started to understand in the way of like, these aren't even my thoughts. When you start to work on like mindset and your mental health and the thought patterns and doing your meditations and clearing your mind and all of that stuff, and just awareness of your thoughts. When you start to work on and have awareness of your thoughts, of your feelings, of your body, of your spiritual concepts, of your belief systems, how you feel and how your energy is doing, when you start to know what your thoughts are, you start to recognize. You can even start to recognize, these aren't my thoughts. How is it that we can have someone else's thoughts? Sensitivity, empathy, telepathy, and even just intuition, being connected energetically, universally, collectively, but also doing the work. So this is when I started doing the work of really setting boundaries, clearing, like cutting cords, like cord cuttings, removing attachments, removing energy of any kind that was in my space that didn't belong to me or that wasn't serving me, that wasn't supposed to be there. If someone was projecting upon my life, someone was hating on me, someone was upset at me, someone was angry, someone was resentful, someone was jealous, they would project their energy upon my life. Now, you can do this. I believe I had this conversation in one of my other ones, but it really is one of those conversations that kind of needs to be reiterated. Like, honestly, sensitivity and empathy is like, those are the people I'm working with. I could speak about this probably every week and my sensitive people would probably pick up something new, right? That there's so much to learn about it and there's so much to understand about it and there's so much to dig in. So you have to start to understand what is yours, what thoughts are yours, what feelings are yours, what experience. So I have that experience. I had that thought. It came from a belief system which you had or picked up somewhere in the way of like you picked up through ancestral, you picked up through your childhood, you picked up through something you learned, you picked up through a teacher, you picked up from a neighbor, a friend, it doesn't matter, but you picked it up somewhere along the lines and you believed it, right? That's yours. Even if you picked it up and you believed it, that's yours. So once we start to move through all of that stuff, but when I was living, like this was actually happening, when I was living here in this home and I was going about my day and I know my thoughts and actually I'm going to use the example of, because this is quite a good example actually, of how I live in this home, how clean it is or how tidy or how, like where people, like what kind of furniture we have, where people are sleeping or like the feng shui, maybe not, people might not know feng shui, but you know what I mean? Like the energy and the feeling of the home. And now people just have different expectations. They have different levels of standard, in their home, in their living. Now I live in a fairly clean home, but some people just need it like spotless, and I appreciate my home every day. So like 99% of the time, I love, the furniture and I love the home. I love the walls. I love the space. I love our appliances. I love how our home is set up because it's set up for us. And so you have to also ask yourself things like, is someone coming over today, right? Did someone reach out to me? Did I have a conversation with someone, right? Like, or sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you don't know because someone is actually just thinking about you in the background. So sometimes you don't know. Or they're having a conversation about you with someone else, which is totally fine, right? People just, hey, have you seen my neighbor? Do you know what they're up to? It's fine. Like it's all cool. They're allowed to have those conversations. But what I'm saying is they could be over there thinking about you, which is, for the most part, really great, right? But it might bring up and it might trigger the things like jealousy or resentment or, those emotions that would then be projected onto you, right? And so I was just going around, living in my home, loving it, appreciating it, keeping it clean, keeping it tidy, keeping it up to my standards, keeping it available and the best the way I wanted it and the way that was best for my family, the way that was best for Troy and the boys and everything, right? And it's their home too. And they get to make choices on how they want to live in their home and how we all want to be in this space. But there was this one day, maybe even 2 days in a row, and I'm just like, was having these thoughts. I was having these thoughts and these feelings and emotions and this energy of like, this isn't good enough and that's not good enough and I need to change this and do that and I need to, scrub under here and I need to get over there. And I'm like, but I didn't care that the window wasn't washed yesterday. And even when I go to cleaning, I do it like with appreciation. Like I kind of like whistle while I work. You know what I mean? I like dance around and I'm like, yeah, I love that I'm getting my house clean. I love that I'm getting organized. And I do it in a happy way. Lots of people probably don't, but there you go, right? So when I was, for that day or two or whatever, getting really upset with the cleanliness of my home, and I wasn't happy while I was working, and I was like kind of like begrudging this whole thing, and I sat there and I'm just like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? This is not me. Remember back to the beginning of the conversation, who am I? What is mine? What are my thoughts? What are my beliefs? What are my emotions? What is my energy? How do I show up? Who am I? So I'm sitting there thinking like, where is this coming from? This is not me. These thoughts aren't mine. I'm picking them up from somewhere. So of course, I went into more cleaning and cord cutting and removal of all of the energy of where that was coming from. Now that's just one example. This could be showing up anywhere. This could be showing up in, let's say, the way you dress, where you work, how you show up on social media, how you drive, this, like how you speak. Maybe you're more outspoken. Maybe you love to dance and play, and someone's like, you need to be more serious. How is this showing up in your life? How is this coming up for you? And look at, I mean, this is for the sensitives and the empaths, and I'm speaking about how other people and how the world and how the collective can impact us, and have that, and we can pick up on that. But we also have to look at, so like, what is ours, right? And how we are projecting out into the world. But that's the first thing that we should be doing, right? That's number one. What is ours, and move through the healing process. As I have, spoken about and will continue to speak about, because that is the most important thing. Number one, what is ours and how do we move through it? Do the work. Number two, if this isn't ours, where is this coming from? And how do we clean it out of our lives? How do we, right? Again, like, set the boundary, cut the cord, cleanse the energy. If there's like some kind of, people have all kinds of verbiage for it. So like portals and entities and, and I use some of those, words as well, but whatever it is, right? If there's some kind of curse and some kind of spell, some kind of projection onto you, your space, your family, your home, your land, your space, right? Your aura, your energy. What is it, and how do we clear it out? What is it, and how do we clear it out? So is it me? Is it someone else? The third thing would be then the collective, because sometimes we just pick up, okay, this is, I want to speak about this, because this is something as well. Picking up on the collective fear, picking up on the collective anxiety, even picking up on the collective. Let me tell you something. Our world, I live in Canada, so like I live in North America, and our world kind of runs on a 9 to 5, a little less so because people are kind of like, their shift work and all the things. But, schools and main businesses or whatever, like banks and stuff, right? Post offices, all the things. Kind of a 9 to 5 life, right? A 9 to 5 job schedule. And on Monday mornings, I can feel the difference. I can feel the difference in the collective on what happens on Monday mornings. And I can feel the resting on Sunday afternoons, Sunday mornings. I can feel the busyness of Friday nights, and I do not participate in that. I don't know what day it is half the time on the farm. I don't live a Monday to Friday life. Like I said, I don't barely know, like if the sun didn't rise and set, I wouldn't know what time of day it was. Like we live a very outdoorsy, or even if we're in the home doing home things, they're not scheduled. Like we live a very unscheduled life. You know, we follow schedules for appointments and stuff like that, and maybe when the boys are in school, but farming is not a 9 to 5 life. I don't follow that, but I feel the collective, and I can feel the collective of like each season as well. I can feel the summer season versus the winter season. I can feel the collective joy at holidays. I can feel the collective, right? You know what's a big one for me? And I'm not a political person. Elections. When there's election time, the hype and the stress and the nervousness, I don't know, but the hype around elections. Like I said, I'm not a political person. I wasn't even the first time I realized this. I wasn't even participating in the election. I actually had to ask, because I'm one of those people who actually, I don't follow the news. Being highly sensitive let me even go into this, right? So I don't follow the news. I am careful about what shows I watch. I'm careful about what radio I listen to. I'm careful about what music I listen to. All of the things. I have just I understand. I've started to understand how the collective impacts me in my life. Make sense? Okay, so it was like this one time, I'm just like, what in the hell is going on? Where is this coming from? And someone brought something up about the election, and I'm like, that's it. That's it. There is this collective buzz. You can feel the collective buzz around like election time, right? There was, through the whole COVID thing, you know, I had to be super sensitive. I didn't have to be super sensitive. I had to be super aware because I am super sensitive. I had to be super aware of what I was taking in, and I had to really do the work of moving through the collective, moving through other people's feelings and projections and stresses and all of that. I had to really be aware and really do the work. What's mine? What's someone else's? And what is the collective? What is the collective feeling? Okay, so my sensitive friends, I hope this really, really helped you today. I know. I have not created it yet. Like I've not gotten to the end of it yet. But I have coming out actually like a course on sensitivity and empathy. I don't 100% know what all is going in it because it kind of creates itself as I go along. I've started the PDF manuals, but I haven't completed. It's part of the whole mediumship package, and I have not completed that whole mediumship class yet. So I'm, still working on it. Life kind of rolls forward, and there's this, that, and the next thing that it's kind of, it got set to the side a little bit after I got sick in April. But it's here, and I'm ready to work on it, and I'm ready to reveal it, and it will be done within the year. Life is just here, and life is just happening. And in divine timing, my mediumship class will be ready for you guys to purchase, and there will be a whole class on sensitivity and empathy. This is probably actually one of the first times I will be speaking about this topic. it will not be the last. This will not be the last that you guys have heard about me speaking about being sensitive, being empathic, picking up, feeling other people's stuff, and understanding, trying to understand what is ours and what is the others around us, right? And how we can feel. How we can feel other stuff too. I've come to realize it is a gift. Even the reason I got sick, in April was because of my sensitivity and empathy, was because I can't say just like someone was projecting onto me, but because I was picking up what someone else was putting down, and not even maybe just one person. There have been a number of people, kind of around me that I've had to work through some of their stuff and again, move through all of this stuff. So I do believe, speaking of my courses and the mediumship, and I applied all of these techniques. I cannot tell you how much I applied all of these techniques day after day after day to help me move through this stuff. And I do believe, again, divine timing. I do believe that's why it's not completed yet, because I have had to move through, I am moving through my own experience of this. And I said at the beginning I was nervous, which I was to start this conversation. But after having this conversation with you, I know I'm ready. I know I'm ready to speak about this because I've done the work and I've been there and I am there and I'm doing it and it fucking works. It works to understand this and to have these tools and move through these healings and move through these clearings and just do the inner work. What's mine? What's someone else's? What's the collective? Okay. I think that's all I wanted to speak to you guys about today. I'm actually, like I said, those mediumship classes are going to be done by the end of the year. And they will be available for you very, very soon. But this is one of the topics that's going to have its very own class. This topic, sensitivity and empathy, is so important. It's going to have its very own class. So wait for that. If this topic at all interests you, the class will be on my website. Okay. I was starting to say at one point, I've always understood that this is a gift. The empathy and the sensitivity, I've always understood it's a gift. And when I stumbled into spiritual healing, energetic healing, just all the spiritual concepts, all of the energy work, I continued to know it was a gift. And I actually didn't know how much it was harming me, how much it was hurting me, until I thought I was the one with all of these crazy thoughts, all of these crazy emotions hurting other people. I didn't understand how much it could hurt me by picking up other people's stuff and not knowing, kind of like what was mine and what was others, until I had moved through my stuff enough to feel a clarity around, as I mentioned, I knew what I was feeling. I knew what I was thinking. I was very, very aware of what was coming up for me, what was going on in my life, what I believed, what I thought. And when my results started to be different, like when my belief systems weren't starting to produce the results, I'm just like, something else is coming up. So I tried to clear it, and that didn't work. So I had to dig deeper. And then I realized it wasn't mine, and then I had to clear that. And that's what has made the difference. number one, I did my own work. Number two, I realized someone else's stuff is coming up and I cleared that. Number three, I started to understand and become aware of what I was picking up collectively, what I was picking up from the collective. Now, I still, even after going through all of these pain, like all of the pain, all of the sickness, all of the terrible results, all of the terrible results in my life of someone else's projections, I still know, I have to know on the other side that my sensitivity and my empathy is still a gift. And I just need to learn how to be with it, learn how to use it to the best of my ability, and how to work with it, and just how to do all of those clearings, how to do all of that healing, how to move through and stay in the place of, not necessarily like happy, but there, the place of love, the place of joy, the place of peace, and the place of happy, right? How to stay authentic to me. No matter what's coming up, I just learn how to. And it's a process. Be patient with yourself. It's a process. This has taken me, I'm just going to say in the very, very early stages, 2016, and it's 2023. That's the very early stages. 2016 was the first time that I was kind of like, something's going on. 2018 was when I jumped into, like, when I started the horse stuff. And then it's just like, seriously, something's going on. And I'm trying to get to the answer of it. 2021. Well, no, 2021 was when I started my mediumship level 2. And that's when I really started to get to like the bottom of it. And here I am now in 2023. And I can finally feel like I've moved through what was coming up and will continue to do so, right? It's a journey. I've moved through what was coming up. And now I'm at the place of teaching it. I'm finally at the place where I understand and I've moved through my journey and I can start to teach it. And this podcast is one of the first times, one of the first teachings that I've ever done on empathy and sensitivity. So I hope it has helped. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. You can jump over to my website. You can jump over to my social media, Facebook, Instagram. You should be able to find all of those links on my website. That's probably a good place to start. You can email me. You can contact me if you would like a session. You can like work with me. You can also find all of the classes that I offer, and the mediumship will be coming right away. Yeah. It will be there for you within the year, like within the next 6 months, because the year's half over. But it is coming, and it will be completed. And I'm there. I'm getting there. I'm doing the work. I'm moving through. And I would love to help you guys move through your situations as well. Whatever's coming up for you. I'd love to help you through. Because we don't have to stay stuck. We don't have to stay in pain. We don't have to carry those heavy emotions. We don't have to stay stressed out, burnt out. We can live a happy life. I believe that 100%, like, no, not even 100%. I believe that 1,000%. We are not here. We are not meant to be here to live a shitty life. If there's something coming up in your life, I'd love to help you through it. Please reach out. Please check it out. And I will see you guys soon. Sooner than later, because I'm late with this podcast. So the next one will be sooner than later. But I'll see you then.